If you're looking to move to the Boise, Idaho area, there are definitely some areas and suburbs that you will likely flip out over. And well, there are also some that you might very well find that you just want to flat out avoid. So today I'm going to give you that honest local information, all the info you need to know so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Basically, this is going to be all the info that you will not find on Google. And hey, please be sure to stick around until the end so I can tell you about an area and one that was once deemed as being the most highly sought after area across the entire Treasure Valley. But, well, that area you couldn't pay me to live in now. And if you've been researching Boise and the surrounding Treasure Valley for a bit now, it's probably going to surprise you. But I'm going to share it with you because, well, that's what our YouTube channel is really all about, giving you a candid, on-the-ground, local perspective of what it is really like to live, work, sleep, play, raise a family, just basically do all of the things right here in Boise's incredible Treasure Valley.
Okay, then let's do this.
Hey there, I'm Marcy Ellison, your resource for all things real estate in Boise, Eagle, Meridian, and their surrounding cities. If this is your first time visiting our channel and you find this video helpful, please take a quick sec to hit that little subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you can see future videos when we post them. We also have a free and completely no strings attached, info-packed relocation guide that it's actually right there, that you can download, again for free, peruse through it at your leisure. I will put a link for it in the description of this video. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. First up, let's take a look at Garden City. To look at it on a map, Garden City is tucked between Boise and Eagle. Many people think it's actually a part of Boise, but well, it isn't. It definitely has its own municipal government and is completely its own little city. And it runs along the Boise River with State Street to the north and Chinden Boulevard to the south. Now, if you were to drive through the main drag of this town with all of its RV and trailer dealerships, multiple used car lots, and pawn shops, well, that drag is just pretty darn There are definitely several reasons people don't often find themselves thinking, man, I want to live in Garden City. That said, man oh man, there are some incredible hidden gems tucked right onto the river that some residents just love. But to get to those hidden gems, you'd find yourself driving through some not so pretty areas on a daily basis. And well, if that isn't something that sounds appealing to you, even though the roads ultimately lead to a gorgeous home tucked close to the river, well, if that ugly, just visually blah ambiance and commute is going to irk you, then Garden City is definitely going to probably be a city you will want to avoid. Now, let's talk about Old Town Meridian. And if you're curious as to where exactly in Meridian this Old Town area is, let's first pull up a map so you can see where it's at. So the Old Town of Meridian is really this area here. So there's Franklin Road to the south, Cherry Lane to the north, Locust Grove to the east, and then Linder Road to the west. So now that you know where it is, you're probably wondering what's not to dig about it, right? Well, while it is, as you can see, an incredibly central location in Meridian with nothing too far from your fingertips, and it does, like most historical and older areas, offer some historical charm. It's just got a much older and not entirely well-maintained infrastructure, as well as a lot of traffic congestion and just a pretty commercial vibe and feel. Add to that the heightened noise levels and slightly higher crime rate, which you can see here, it's just not a very appealing place to call home, especially when you compare it to all of the other more modern and just incredibly family-friendly neighborhoods across Meridian. By and large, when we tour people through Meridian, this is the one area that they typically check off their list rather quickly. If you want to take a peek at, or rather take a tour through all of the top communities and neighborhoods throughout Meridian, we've got a number of great videos for you to check out, like this one or that one. I will put links to them in the description of this video for you to check out later. Now, let's talk about a section over in West Boise, specifically an area that runs below the Boise Connector. So there's Orchard Street to the east, and then Franklin Road to the south, and Maple Grove to the west. And you know, let's pull up another map. Let's pull up a crimegrade.org map to give you a visual of the first and potentially big drawback that I'm going to call out. Yep, its crime rate here certainly isn't one to brag about, right? So if safety and security is important to you, well, you will definitely want to take some time to consider the crime in this area and its general vicinity. And now I am well aware that there are some people who absolutely love West Boise, and maybe you are one of them and you're waiting for me to point out all of the charming older homes that the area has. And you know, yes, there are some perks to the West Boise area, and I mean, its central location is pretty appealing for some, as living there means that you could be super close, or you would be super close to shopping, restaurants, and all of the amenities. Our Valley's indoor mall, Boise Town Square, is right there, as well as the aquarium, and then just multiple car dealerships and a lot of chain restaurants. But well, West Boise certainly isn't for everyone, and is just an area that many people decide that they can cross off their home search list, and sometimes rather quickly. Add to it that the roads in this particular area of Boise were definitely not ready at all for the boom it experienced, and yeah, they still haven't managed to catch up even close to it. In addition, the schools in this section, with all the growth it's seen, are often criticized as being overcrowded and often don't receive the greatest reviews. If you're looking for a great resource to research schools, both greatschools.org and niche.com are good resources for you to check out. And then if you're one who loves the idea of living in the city of trades, which if you didn't know that, that's Boise's nickname, well, now you do. So hold on to that little nugget for your next trivia night. You can thank me later. But well, living in this area of West Boise will definitely not feel like you're living in an area worthy of that namesake, as that's just not what you're going to see and experience. Because this area definitely has far fewer parks and open shared green spaces than really any other area across the valley.
Not at all what I expected.
Now, let's move to the northwest of Boise out to Caldwell. And while Caldwell has a surprisingly large number of hidden gems and great, just little gorgeous pockets with some fabulous acreage properties with vineyard views, well, there are also some areas that just aren't as appealing. Let's talk about one area in particular. Let's talk about the downtown area and its surrounding vicinity, particularly this area near the intersection of 10th Avenue and Blaine Street. Many people find that they want to avoid living in this area due to, you guessed it, higher crime rates, which again you can see here on this crimegrade.org map, but I'd also encourage you to look up and research all of this on your own end. And then I know I have been mainly focusing on crimegrade.org thus far in today's video, but a couple other great resources for you to use to zone in on the crime rate in different areas include niche.com and neighborhoodscout.com. So while downtown Caldwell does have a unique character, and we have definitely seen some ongoing revitalization efforts, its higher crime rates, older infrastructure, economic struggles, constant traffic congestion, and just lower aesthetic appeal are all things that typically push people in another direction. So now, similar to downtown Caldwell, let's talk about downtown Nampa. Along with its higher crime rates, the downtown Nampa area, well, if you look up school ratings, which if you have school-aged children, you of course will be doing, the schools just don't rank as highly there as what you typically see in other areas such as Meridian, Eagle, or Boise. And then last, if you are one who commutes to work, and maybe you're commuting to downtown, and or maybe you'll be traveling back and forth from the airport frequently, or heck, maybe you just want to be able to hop downtown for an amazing meal. The commute to downtown will of course be a bit further, which for some people just doesn't work. These reasons are all contributing factors as to why both Caldwell and Nampa are two of the most affordable cities across the Treasure Valley. So the more affordable price tag is typically why most people find themselves considering both of these areas, which we completely, of course, understand. But just know that there are other areas in Nampa and Caldwell that chances are might fit you and your family or whoever it is that's coming alongside of you better.
Good, because
Next up, let's talk about Emmett. And now, this one might be ruffling some feathers too, but whatever, you clicked on this video for a reason, right? So with Emmett, gosh, it is a charming and picturesque town. I will not argue that. But well, not only is it quite a jaunt from any major healthcare services and or providers, as well as really any other key amenities, but it's also a pretty tricky town to find employment in, and their education options are definitely limited. Now, don't get me wrong when it comes to small town charm and scenic surroundings. Emmett is pretty incredible and in ways hard to beat there, but that small town vibe and community is one that we have been told repeatedly now that has been, well, is very hard for newcomers to just jump into. It is an incredibly tight-knit and just locally focused and community-based vibe and feel. which of course many residents absolutely love and sometimes are even willing to fight tooth and nail to maintain and just to keep it that way. So that can, though, make it a bit hard for newcomers. Additionally, we have had a number of veterans tell us that the way in which it is situated in the valley, it's kind of just down in a bowl, and it makes them feel like they just don't have vantage points, which, depending on whether you have served or not, or maybe you have a loved one who has, well, that might sound like an odd thing to point out, but well, we have lost count of how many veterans have shared that sentiment and just feel and vibe and just take away with us. So if any of these reasons strike a chord with you, well then we will likely check Emmett off your list. Now let's move out to Kuna. So often when we get calls from people thinking about packing up and moving to the area, when we ask them about what they are most excited for or really what they're looking for in this new chapter in their lives living in Idaho, they almost always say they want to have access to biking, hiking, skiing, and to just the great outdoors in general. And while Kuna has Indian Creek right there that goes right through the town, as well as their own little green belt and some fun parks and shared spaces, well, Kuna is pretty darn flat. So you are not going to have direct access to the foothills for mountain biking, trail running, or hiking, and you also aren't going to be very close to the Boise River or to Bogus Basin. So for some people, the vibe out in Kuna just really isn't what they are looking for when they're thinking about packing up to move here. And then add to all of that the dairy farms, because well, in Kuna, there is no shortage of dairy farms. And if you have ever lived by such a farm, or even if you have just driven by one, you know that the smell can be, well, it can be something.
No. Hard pass. Hard pass.
That all said, the price point out in Kuna, while not as affordable as Nampa and or Caldwell, it is definitely lower and sometimes significantly easier for home buyers to purchase in than, say, Meridian, Eagle, Boise, or Star. Okay, so now let's talk about an area, and a rather large area, that I personally would avoid buying a house in. Let's talk about all the areas that run right along I-84. To understand this area, let's pull up a map so you can easily see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is I-84, and I-84 is the main transportation artery that runs through the heart of the Treasure Valley. It runs right through both Boise and Meridian, as well as through Nampa and Caldwell, and well, I would never want to buy a house and live right off of it. Now, don't get me wrong, we live in South Meridian after all, and if you visited our channel before and have watched any of our videos focused on Meridian, like this one or that one, well, then you likely know that I love that we are positioned relatively close to I-84, as it allows us to get to just about anywhere across the Treasure Valley relatively easily. But well, living close by, say just about 8 minutes away from I-84, the I-84 on-ramp, well, that is a far cry and just completely different than living right off of it, right? The constant noise alone would drive me personally bonkers. And then when it comes to resale, homes super close to the freeway rarely, if ever, build equity, as well as homes that are situated just a bit further out. So if you're thinking about buying a home super close to the freeway, well, just be sure you spend a decent amount of time at the property and at various times of day so you can really ensure that it is something that will work for you. Okay, so now you're wondering about that area in Boise that was once deemed as being the best place to be, but now, in my personal opinion, just isn't that anymore. And yes, I am well aware that this is likely going to spark some annoyed and flabbergasted comments from people who live there and love it. But well,
frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Boise's North End. There, I said it.
Mic drop.
While the North End has some truly gorgeous historical homes, I mean, Harrison Boulevard is beautiful. So you are likely thinking, seriously, Mercy, what the heck is wrong with you? But you know what? That driving and parking situation down there for so many homes in the North End and along those roads would drive me personally a bit bonkers. When I drive down some of those roads over there, I really feel like I sort of have to suck in because I have to avoid hitting anything or anyone. Not that I can exactly suck in my SUV's hips or anything, but you know what I mean, or maybe not, but anyhow, whatever. Just straight out, not only is the housing in the North End incredibly expensive, but with all the traffic congestion, well, it has just kind of taken away the area's once quiet and peaceful and just tranquil neighborhood vibe and feel, and it has really made commuting, even for those who prefer to commute by bike, far more challenging. And that used to be something that so many loved about living in the North End, is that it allowed them to so easily bike downtown for work. And then on top of all of that, well, politically speaking, it definitely now has a different vibe than really the rest of the entire valley, which for some, hey, you might absolutely love that, and many do. But for others, especially those who are fleeing neighboring states such as California, Oregon, or Washington, so the more liberal-leaning blue states, well, you might just find that all of the, for lack of a better term, woke stuff just isn't a good fit for you. We recently had a client who was relocating here, and she was initially pretty convinced that she only wanted to be in the North End because, well, she loves historical areas and homes, which of course we completely understand. They're gorgeous. But well, after coming to visit and having us tour her all around both the North End as well as multiple other gorgeous areas across the valley, she has now resolutely decided that, and she decided this largely due to the politics and all the vibes, so the flags, bumper stickers, and tchotchkes, well, that she absorbed all across the valley and in different areas, including the North End, and she has just decided that that vibe in the North End now is just 100% not going to be right for her. And we're just glad that she discovered it now, and so we've just been able to shift gears and focus on the communities that will be a perfect fit for her. So overall, while the North End of Boise retains so much of its historical appeal and charm, I mean, some of those houses there date back to the early 1900s, and yeah, they are to die for. But while all of the other factors at play there, well, they've made many seek out other areas across Boise city limits, and we are actually increasingly seeing this to be the case, they are moving outside of Boise to other surrounding cities such as Eagle, Meridian, or Star, and that's largely because they feel that the other cities offer them a better balance of what they're looking for. So a better balance of affordability, convenience, modern amenities, and yeah, and this one is likely most important to me, or would be, space.
But I like space. Space.
Okay, YouTube friends, so what do you think? Any areas that I covered today that you strongly disagree with me on? Or how about other areas that you personally would definitely avoid? Let me know, and all the other viewers know in the comment section below. I would just love to see the discussion. I truly want to hear your thoughts. And then if you found this video helpful and you're feeling super nice, please take just a millisecond to hit that little like button. And or if you haven't subscribed yet, please tap that little subscribe button, as both truly help to inspire us to keep filming these weekly videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.